All right, all right, all right. This is your host of the most of the time here in sunny side Dubai. This is Marcus here in the building, and I got the one and only George from Blockchain DXB. He is the host of Crypto and Coffee at 8. Is it 8 a.m. or 8 p.m., sir?
8 a.m.
That's the question. 8 a.m. Man, I'm surrounded by way too many morning people, man. But anyways, it's good to be back again on a lovely Thursday morning. And what are we going to talk about today, sir?
Firstly, good morning, and thank you so very much, Marcus, for doing this. Really appreciate it. I think we have quite a lot to talk about in today's episode. We have the CPI numbers which were out, and for the people in Dubai and UAE, you should know that the CPI numbers were out at roughly or exact at 5 p.m. Gulf Standard Time. So we'll go ahead and briefly run through that. Also, a lot of bitcoins were actually transferred to Coinbase Prime, and this was done by the US government. So we'll cover quite a lot from the cryptocurrency world. But before that, what I thought of discussing, Marcos, is regarding Ripple. Now, a lot of people in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space truly don't understand, how Ripple actually works. Does it actually fall under the whole blockchain area? And we'll also go into based on the news regarding Ripple, because they've had a partnership with the IFC Innovation Hub. And apparently they want to work with blockchain related protocols. But before that, I wanted to check, what is your thoughts regarding Ripple, Marcus? Are you a fan of it? Are you an advocate of it, or are you a detractor of Ripple?
I guess I just see Ripple as a central banker's coin.
True, 100%. Yeah.
I guess in terms of technology, I think, okay, it is good. It is energy efficient as compared to Bitcoin. But in terms of Ripple, from my point of view, I guess I consider myself as a people's champ, I guess. So I don't see Ripple as that tool to champion people. It's more of an enterprise or maybe like a government institutional play than anything else. So the reason I say that is, I remember like 2015, 2016. Ripple definitely got a lot of heat from a lot of people from the crypto space, and rightly so, because it is a banker's. I would say it's more like a banker's coin than anything else.
Yeah.
So central bank, we'll see how that goes. I know the central bankers have a whole different. They're working on other stuff, but Ripple, yeah, that's my take really. So. Yeah, I know would I fall under the detractors category. If it does, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and later on we'll also briefly touch base on, the token that they have, XRP. Do we actually need that? So now regarding Ripple, what he said is absolutely spot on. I would like to define it in one word, that is software. Now you can make an argument that Bitcoin is also a software, but the difference is Bitcoin is distributed. It is kind of like the people's software, but so far as Ripple is concerned, it is more of a thing which is managed by institution, isn't it? And it works on something called as IOU. Now, regarding blockchain technology, Ripple does not use any blockchain technology. They use something called as XRP Ledger. You can make an argument that that is a permission blockchain. Now, there is nothing called as permission blockchain, isn't it? Because you can go and double spend. And that's essentially what Ripple is all about. Now, regarding the algorithm that they use something called as, RPCA, that is Ripple's Protocol Consensus Algorithm. So essentially what it is, there is a network of independent validating servers, and what they do is, Marcus, they go and compare the transaction records. So essentially there is nothing called as proof of work or proof of mining. Now you mentioned that it takes less energy than Bitcoin. Absolutely spot on. In fact, they don't have very consensus mechanism like proof of work or proof of stake as well. Now the big question is, can you become a miner for Ripple? The answer to that is yes and no, because they don't have any proof of work or proof of stake, isn't it? But they do have a very centralized pool of networks. So in order to become a miner, there's a restricted pool. Now, one thing which a lot of people from the cryptocurrency and blockchain space should know is that one of the beauties of Bitcoin and open blockchain or even Ethereum is that any transactions can be validated by absolutely anyone. The example I tend to give out is, a 5-year-old can go ahead and validate the transaction. Why they would want to do that, I have no idea. But let's say a person in Iran, in China, Afghanistan, India, absolutely anyone can go ahead and validate absolutely any transaction. In case of Ripple, I really am not sure if you can do that because they do have a very specific website, and in only that website you can validate the transaction. But this goes back to the whole point of permission blockchain, isn't it? Someone can go ahead and double spend, and they can go ahead and put it on the Explorer. And this is one of the dangers with central bank digital currency as well, Markose. You can have a central bank digital currency. You can make it completely open source. I mean, I'm talking about making sure that people go ahead and verify these transaction details. But in the back end, someone can go ahead and double spend or go ahead and manipulate the data. Now, there's definitely a brilliant use case for Ripple, and if you look at it from a function point of view, they are a brilliant use case for, facilitating cross-border payments. And Markose, we touched base on the episode that we did with Paul, that, when El Salvador made Bitcoin a legal tender, as much as I dislike saying it, an ideal move would have been to go ahead and implement Ripple or XRP because it is extremely cheap, probably as cheap as, doing transactions on Bitcoin network as well. And the error rate is next to none. So if President Nayib Bukele, who I'm a massive fan of, by the way, if he wanted to genuinely help people, he could have just said, let me go ahead and implement Ripple or XRP. There is news circulating right now, but I can't confirm the source, that India is planning to use XRP as part of BRICS payment, but I'm unable to find the source. At this point of time, I'm going to park it as fake news. But let's say, Markose, imagine a world where, BRICS, they go ahead and implement Ripple or XRP, which they very well can do. They don't even need to work in absolutely any infrastructure. It would be an absolute game changer, to be honest. That is what my
I want to go back to the BRICS thing, especially like when we talk about Enbridge, right? So because Enbridge is actually plays a big role in the BRIC, the payment system, the alternative to the SWIFT system, which is controlled by the West, or I guess some of my friends would say controlled by the Anglo-American Empire, so to speak. Just putting the tinfoil hat on, right? But I would agree with that. It would, because Ripple would make a lot of sense for the BRIC nations, and from a technical point of view, it makes sense. It is faster, definitely will be superior, really cheaper, affordable, and I guess also you also mentioned the attraction too.
Yeah,
almost no mistakes, right? So what I'm saying is reliable, right? Like faster, easier, and reliable. So, but I think it's more of political will, and also I don't know. So I could other than XRP, if they want to stick with the spirit of Bitcoin, for example, either they go with Bitcoin Cash or BSV, maybe also eCash as well, if you're talking about energy efficiency and all that stuff, or if you want to talk about provenance, like I think Bitcoin Cash and BSV too. But XRP would be a good play just because I think a lot of people who I've met from Ripple, I mean, these are all your suits and ties and stuff. I mean, very corporate, McKinsey, Bain and Co. kind of people. So they kind of fit the description. So yeah, anyways, no offense to you guys.
And if you actually compare it, let's say Ripple, with open blockchain, I mean, we do have certain parameters which is done by Andreas Antonopoulos, that is open source, permissionless. So the question is Ripple completely open source? The answer to that is no. Is it permissionless? The answer to that is no, because you do require prior permission to use Ripple, the technology. I'm not talking about the XRP token. Because it is only under the banks, isn't it? Is it borderless? No. Because, you need to have a partnership in place. Is it censorship resistant? Definitely no. Is it neutral? You can make an argument that, the experience of Ripple, using Ripple is pretty much the same anywhere in the world. So that is one argument you can make that, yes.
Yeah. All right. No. Thank you for bringing that up. The permissionless side, the borderless side, because I think this is where, this is where I feel, XRP will have a challenge. Now, if you were like implement it with a Swift system and stuff, it would actually be much more faster. Because culturally, it's, the West is modern. But if you're talking about the BRICS, Brazil is different, culturally different. Russia is completely different. China is completely different. India is also completely different. I mean, like, India and China, there's sort of like a quiet Cold War-esque, how do you say, aggressiveness or whatever, differences and stuff. So, I think this is where XRP is going to have a challenge. So, yeah. Now when I think about it, if you talk about permissionless and stuff, yeah.
And I think we need to separate XRP from Ripple, because truth be told, you don't require XRP and Ripple can still work perfectly fine. You don't necessarily need the token, so to speak. And this goes back to a massive news that did actually happen on over the weekend. That was the announcement was made regarding Ripple versus SEC. Now, as usual, I'm seeing quite a lot of fake news on LinkedIn, on Twitter, that this is a massive win for Ripple. Markose, in the very first session that we did on LinkedIn, we talked about, the SEC was requiring for documents regarding institutional sales. And based on the document, what the judges actually said is that the way how Ripple sold XRP tokens to institutions did actually fall under the securities law. So that is one of the reasons why they were fined a hefty $125 million. Now, people are only talking about that SEC asked for $2 billion as a fee. That is true, but later on, SEC reduced the fee from $2 billion to, I believe, roughly around $100 million. People are ignoring that part. People are also ignoring that part that Ripple did actually request the judge to reduce it to $10 million. So the fees essentially that Ripple has said will end up paying is $125 million. Now, regarding the Ripple versus SEC case, there are essentially three things that we need to be looking at. One is the institutional sales that we talked about. The second one, Markose, this is more to do with programmatic sales. That is, how Ripple has sold the XRP to cryptocurrency exchanges. Now, in that, you can make an argument that, yes, Ripple has partially won that case because SEC was saying that you can't go ahead and do that as well. And the next one is other distributions, that is non-cash transactions. And Ripple has earned quite a lot of money from that. Now, just to give you a breakup, and this is something which our listeners should know about Ripple, is that in institutional sales, Ripple earned roughly around $728 million. Programmatic sales, that is with digital exchanges, they earn $757 million. And other distributions, they earn $609 million. So keeping all this thing in mind, they had to pay $125 million, which is quite a lot, isn't it? So is it a win for Ripple? Not really. Is it a win for SEC? Not really. So it is a partial win for Ripple. Partial win for SEC.
It's kind of like what do you call it? What's the Greek word? The Pyrrhic victory? I forgot. Hold on.
And there is no point for SEC to go ahead and put forward the case against, because they've already kind of won, isn't it? So far as $125 million is concerned, they kind of got what they want. And what is most important to note is that henceforward, Ripple can't go ahead and sell that XRP to institutional investors. And that is precisely the reason why. So Ripple is launching its own stable coin. And on Tuesday, or rather on Monday, 12th of August, Ripple did actually go ahead and try the Ripple's stablecoin on Ethereum open blockchain as well. So you need to think from a business point of view. They have XRP. Why would they want to go ahead and start a stablecoin, isn't it? And the answer to that is pretty simple. Now they can't go ahead and sell a lot of the XRP to institutional investors.
Interesting. Yeah. No, sorry. Yeah, I think the word looking for Pyrrhic victory. So basically, it means a victory that comes at a great cost, perhaps making the ordeal to win not worth it in a sense. So
Yeah.
again, it depends. It depends on, now again, like, the people from Ripple, you know, um, of course, they're thinking of the long game too. But I also met some of the folks from Ripple too earlier, the beginning of the year too. Like, they're also trying to maintain their strength in the marketplace too. So even with their partners, so this is just some inside information I got. So, but yeah, I think but so I guess of course for sure they have to bite this. Some say it as a win. I guess the way we say it is not really a win. There are casualties, I guess, in the sense. So, but again, it's I think for them it's what is Ripple's big picture? What's their end game, right? So, I think that's the part we gotta figure out. But getting in the stablecoin game, honestly, I really thought that Ripple should have been in the stablecoin game way early.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even at the same time, because whether at the same time as when Tether started, or even also before that too. I mean, okay, the time when Tether started, it was still new. They were quite early at their time. Not many people really get it or got it or whatever. But then it started to pick up. So I was expecting, even a long time ago, I was expecting like Ripple to get into this game earlier. So now we have what? USDT, you got USDC, the DAI. Now Ripple's getting into a stablecoin game. But then again, I don't blame him, because if you remember, George, like the previous episodes, we talked about which industries are the most popular one, right?
Yeah.
We talked about mining as a profitable business. Actually, you're making revenues. Crypto exchanges, definitely profitable and making revenues. And third, stablecoins. A good example is Tether. If you remember, they made like what, $1.6 billion in profits.
Yep.
So it's an indicator that, hey, you know what? It just makes a lot of sense to get into the stablecoin game, because there is a big need for medium exchange.
True.
To facilitate transactions.
And regarding stablecoin, Marcus, you know what my stance is. I mean, I don't think so. They are under open blockchain as well, and that is completely. We might plan to have a session talking about stablecoins, because look, stablecoins are just replacing the role of a bank. And if you're a massive advocate of stablecoin, you need to really understand why Bitcoin was created. Bitcoin kind of was exactly created precisely for that reason as well. But it definitely solves quite a lot of purposes as well. Now, regarding Ripple getting into the stablecoin game, I think it'll be an absolutely game changer in my opinion, because they already have the backing of the industry. They have a really strong name, and the XRP army is ridiculously powerful and crazy and strong as well, isn't it? They're really, really passionate as well. Now, regarding Dubai, they also have an interesting news that they are partnered with the IFC Innovation Hub. And I can't understand is that they want to promote blockchain technology, because they don't use blockchain technology. But nonetheless, some positive news, I guess, because it does bring a really strong brand name. That, so if someone from the IFC Innovation Hub is listening to the episode, Ripple is not using blockchain technology. I mean, and they are the ones who are promoting blockchain technology. Is literally like saying the best swimmer is going to be a running coach. It does not make much sense, but definitely positive news for Dubai, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I just find it, really kind of funny. Look, the only reason is because they're looking at Ripple's, XRP's market cap, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's the only thing. But has it honestly, like in places here in Dubai, like has there been like any real education about blockchain and stuff? I don't think so. I have to be honest. I don't think so. I don't know. You know what, John? Like, you have so many things to say, but you end up saying nothing. That's how I freaking feel about this, man. That's crazy.
Hopefully, we can merge up and try to help people with understanding what blockchain technology is. Now, do we want to go and touch base on what is going on in the cryptocurrency world, Markose? Because there was massive news yesterday at 5 p.m. Gulf Standard Time, and that has to do with the CPI numbers, or the inflation numbers, or Biden inflation as I like to call it. And approximately every month the CPI numbers are out, and I keep stressing this over and over again. The only website to look at the inflation number is the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, and the website is www.bls.gov, and the inflation numbers, consumer price index numbers, at 2.9%. Now, it has been going down, but it has been going down by 0.1%, which is definitely positive news. And when the inflation actually does go down, the market is kind of good, isn't it? But what worries me this time, Markose, is on the 5th of August, we had a massive crash. Now, usually when there is a massive crash, let's say like the one we had on 5th of August, where $2.9 trillion has disappeared from the market, then when you look at inflation numbers, it does raise quite a lot of questions. The last time the market crashed was during COVID-19 era. That time the inflation went down to roughly around 1.0%. So, it was at 1.9% to be precise. Now, the answer to that is pretty simple. People are not spending it. Now, the big question is, Markose, how does the CPI numbers impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? And we've talked this over and over again. Expectation versus reality. When the inflation goes down, the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency tends to pump up, which just means that the market is doing great. In an idealistic world or theoretical world, it should work exactly the opposite, isn't it? When the inflation actually goes down, people should be selling a lot of the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, because the whole idea is the market is doing good. Why should I hold Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? It is no longer hedge against inflation.
Yeah.
But hopefully in a decade's time or 2 decades time, we might get there. But
maybe, yeah. But I gotta say this though. But I feel like there isn't there like a huge knowledge gap or awareness gap with the market. I feel like the market, and then I talk about the people, and then you talk about asset classes, because some of the numbers just don't make sense. The reason I say that, okay, they say inflation's low and stuff, but say for example, like I for our American audience, it's kind of like like a extremely smaller version of Walmart, but so like sometimes notice some of the prices of the fresh food, fruits and vegetables, that kind of thing. So like or even also like rental stuff too. So the prices have been going up too. So I don't know. There's a interest. I don't know. I don't know. I feel there's
I would say lack of understanding of how inflation works, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the impact of it, kind of, as well.
Yeah, that's what I know. I guess the right word is there is definitely a knowledge arbitrage.
Yeah.
So which is good. Look, for guys like us, we are aware. You're seeing all this stuff. Look, if we had enough capital or something, man, dude, we would have been taking a lot of advantage. And I'm also seeing like say for example, like Warren Buffett, right? Berkshire Hathaway, they sold plenty of their shares. So and that news, okay, I'm aware of it, but when I look at the general consensus of the marketplace, no one has any knowledge or whatsoever.
Yeah.
So like something is amiss. I mean, like I guess what I'm saying is something is coming, right? So So yeah, anyways, I know, I apologize. I'm trying my best to be as, how do you say, articulated and there's so much going on with whole lot. There's so many, what do you call it, red flags, right, for our general audience, like, to be aware of. So, I don't know. What's your thoughts, man?
What you're saying is absolutely spot on, Marcus. And look, I'm extremely involved in US politics because US elections is coming up. Let me just do one thing, Marcus. Let me just run through some numbers regarding CPI data, that is inflation numbers. And look, guys, the only information that you need to check is the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. Now, if you just run through some numbers, when President Donald Trump was in charge of US in 2017, the inflation number was at 2.1%. 2018, it was 2.4%. 2019, it was 1.8%. In 2020, Marcus, because of the COVID-19 crash, it went down to 1.2%. Now, from a political point of view, it was the Democrats who were actually saying to shut down the economy. And people are talking about, President Trump had the largest spending. Over 90% of the funding was actually pushed by the Democrats in the Senate because they took control over the House. And they actually spent 90% of what they are now claiming that President Donald Trump actually spent. Now, regarding inflation, when Joe Biden actually took office, 2021, Marcus, the inflation was at 4.7%. That is because of huge money being spent. 2020, it was 8%, the highest in 40 years. 8% is ridiculously high. 2023, it is 4%, and now it is down to 2.9%. Now, to answer your question, yes, because US elections is coming up, you will definitely see quite a lot of fluctuation regarding inflation numbers. I think now the left-leaning administration will say, hey, the inflation is going down. We have less than 100 days for the elections coming up. The economy is doing great, which is definitely not true. Because, Marcus, regarding the CPI inflation numbers and regarding the labor data, they've also gone ahead and changed the definition of labor market. So let's say if a person is unemployed, prior to Joe Biden, they used to take that as an unemployment data. Now what they're doing is, let's say if a person is unemployed, I believe the government has to go ahead and offer them certain jobs. And if they don't go ahead and try for applying for these interviews, they're removing that information from the data, so the unemployment is showing less. So, these are some things you need to be aware about as well. Look, I don't try to look at, Fox News or fake news CNN. I look at information from first source, that is Consumer Price Index or the Federal Reserve Board information. If anyone wants to argue based on that data, not based on what CNN says or Fox News says or Breitbart or CNBC, more than happy to discuss on that. Sorry, I got a little bit cheered up so far as politics is concerned.
No. Yeah. No, makes sense. No, it's always interconnected, right? So,
yeah.
Actually, therefore we cannot, look, we cannot ignore. So, what we're seeing, the crashes and, seeing all these data. When that information goes out there, people react, right? So the market reacts. We are seeing how some of these big institutions like Berkshire Hathaway selling, billions of dollars, and they're reserving and they're putting it all in cash, which is kind of crazy because if you think about it, if you're like a really big organization, you know very well that every year or something, the purchasing power of that cash goes down. And as much as I'm not a big fan of Michael Saylor too, but I can let's put some of it in Bitcoin.
Yep.
So because there is a potential upside of it, going up, right? So in that, depending on the market narrative, how they support Bitcoin, that's a whole other, conversation. But, every year, the power of your 100 million, next year will be equivalent to, say, 95 million. Then the second year is going to be 92 million, or the fourth year or third year or fourth year will be somewhere like 85 million. You'll see some drastic change, right? So the only reason that you're going to allocate all that cash is that you are expecting something, right? And then we're seeing all these wars taking place. So I don't know, imagine yourself as a conspiracy scientist. You're seeing all these signs. In some ways, there is connection, or I know some of the, these institutes they teach people do these mind maps. So yeah, Bitcoin or I don't know, whatever your favorite thing, connected to some world event, connected to something else. You see, like you see the world in a very different light. So and I think this is where, like, once you're aware of all these different things happening, all around you, you become aware, then you start to prepare.
True.
And you see all these big players like Warren Buffett. You're seeing all, like hedge funds like George Soros's funds preparing for something happening. Or you prepare for, the companies in Hong Kong or Japan. I mean, like, man, what is going on, guys? So anyway, so that being said, like, I think you'll see a lot of disruptions taking place, and Bitcoin will definitely play a very important role. I wouldn't be surprised that Ripple also will be playing an important role with with alternative payment systems, and also I'm seeing also quite green shoots coming from the privacy coin space, like Monero, and also with Xano too, recently. So something is coming up. Is it just a matter of when?
Yep.
Anyways, I know we kind of went off tangent, but
yeah, but everything is connected as well. Yeah, I think what he's saying is everything is connected. And regarding CPI numbers, I think why it is important is based on CPI numbers and quite a lot of other information, Federal Chair Jerome Powell will be making a decision whether to increase the interest rate, keep it the same, or reduce the interest rate. And there is a very high possibility, I would say at least 99% chances, that the next FOMC meeting he'll reduce the interest rate. And this is one of the reasons why, in the last FOMC meeting, I couldn't understand why the fake news media was actually asking him about reducing the interest rate, because he was saying something completely different. And they were questioning him about, reducing the interest rate. And just 2 days after that is when, there was a stock market crash with $2.9 trillion wiped off. So, which was mostly driven by fake news, at least in my opinion, or media-driven news. Now, the big question is, Markose, if Jerome Powell does actually go ahead and reduce the interest rate hike, what impact does it have for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? The answer to that is it is positive news. The prices will definitely bump up. Again, expectation versus reality. What works is completely different in an idealistic world, or at least by the textbooks. If Jerome Powell reduces the interest rate hike, that should be the time people should say, hey, you know what, the current market, the stock market is doing great. Let me go ahead and dump a lot of my Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. We are not there yet, maybe at least in a couple of decades' time. Or when we have a hyper Bitcoinization, that is when we might be able to achieve that. Now let's talk about something from the Bitcoin world, and this is something which did happen yesterday, Markose. That was roughly around 4 to 5 hours after the CPI numbers were out. The US government, they have decided to transfer, or rather they have transferred 10,000 Bitcoin to Coinbase Prime. And when someone transfers their funds into exchange, it just means that they want to go ahead and sell it, isn't it?
And also, but George, we also got to add some more context to those particular 10,000 Bitcoins, right? Those Bitcoins came from, actually, as well, please correct me wrong, but came from the Silk Road. This is actually Ross Ulbricht's Bitcoins. So I'm just like, wow, man, these. Look, just so you know, like, I'm a big supporter of Ross Ulbricht. Definitely support Ross Ulbricht's mom, Linda Ulbricht. She's fighting for her son's, freedom and stuff. So there's this whole craziness with the Silk Road, and with the two FBI's taking it over and making millions out of it. Crazy story. And so these are one of the stories that has to be shared out there, but we'll talk about it another time. But that being said, like, it is interesting to see that take place. 10,000 Bitcoins, George, moving into the Coinbase Prime.
Yeah.
Which is getting primed, like what he said, to get bought or sold. Sold, right?
Sold, yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do. And because of that, I'm pretty much sure the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies will go down. And look at the timing of it. Last time they did that was around something similar when Ethereum spot trading went live. They're choosing very specific date. The day Ethereum spot trading went live, that was the time they did something similar, and now they're doing this over here as well. So because I know some of my friends were not that well versed with the space, right? Like, because they were expecting for Ethereum to go up, but it went down. I was anticipating it to at least touch the $4,000 mark, but it absolutely crashed. I was actually anticipating it to pump up and then go down, and that is because, if you buy the spot Ethereum ETF, you don't have access to staking as a services and as investors. It does not make any sense, unlike spot Bitcoin ETF, which also does not have staking, but nonetheless, having the spot Ethereum ETF does not make any sense. Now, I do feel probably because of that news, the prices might actually go down. That is my honest opinion. And regarding Bitcoin, I also wanted to touch base on Bitcoin mining industry. And they had the lowest revenue. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was on the 11th of this month, where the miners, they collectively earned, or rather the miners, they earned only $2.54 million. Now, after the Bitcoin halving, I think now it is 3.125 Bitcoin mined every 10 minutes or so, isn't it? So they're roughly around 450 to 470 newly minted Bitcoin every day. Prior to that, it was 900 Bitcoin. So it is becoming extremely expensive for miners to go ahead and manage the operation. And I think we covered this, Markose. Yeah, coin shares. I think we talked about this in our second or third session. Coin shares, they gave a breakup of how much it actually costs to go ahead and mine one Bitcoin. And back then it was $53,000. The numbers have substantially increased since then. So, Bitcoin miners are definitely not doing good. And I wouldn't be surprised, Markose, at least in the next 3 to 6 months, a lot of Bitcoin miners will actually be shutting down. And coin shares, they often said that it will be a smart move for Bitcoin miners to switch from Bitcoin mining to artificial intelligence. Now, just a few days ago, Markose, President Trump, he was live with Elon Musk. I'm not sure if you managed to check that thing. They also discussed how AI, they have a significant amount of energy consumption, more than double of other industries. So, we talk about Bitcoin mining being that expensive, but the energy consumption from AI is absolutely expensive as well. And Markose, I did have an interview with Dr. Max Lee. Thanks to you, we got
nice.
We went ahead and touched base on that point as well, so your listeners should definitely go and check it out.
Yeah. I have to make a comment on, the energy consumption, because look, even George, very well, right? Like, how many times, we've seen many news, traditional or, also in our Web3 space, where a lot of people talk about, it consumes so much energy, we need green blockchain solutions, yada, yada, yada. So a lot of, basically they just bitched and complained about Bitcoin, the energy consumption.
Yeah.
Right? When most of the energy used by Bitcoin mining comes from green sources. And this goes like way earlier, almost like even 2013 or 2014. I remember, because a lot of the Bitcoin mining was in Iceland, and Iceland was using geothermal energy. Like, I remember BitClub, which was previously under Joby Weeks and the other three guys, or one of the partners, not pulled that shit and screwed a lot of people. So this is kind of like sad, actually. But the reason I say that is because I have invested in it, so I got fucked over too. So I know I want to share my pain, George. But I remember, like, we were way early before all this conversation about Bitcoin energy consumes the planet equal to Finland's country. Man, fuck Finland. Like, fuck him. No offense to Vesa and Papa Blockchain, but I mean, like this conversation about energy, but when it comes to AI and stuff, like, I don't know. Look, I have no problem with AI, the computer using energy and stuff, like, because as long as it's used for something, is useful. And I think it is useful. Bitcoin mining is useful. All right.
Exactly.
You need to talk about the U.S. government. All right. Like, they consume a lot of energy, and a lot of energy is used for war. How about you stop there? How about you to have that conversation? No, none of you guys want to have that conversation. So I think they're just using Bitcoin mining as an excuse, that as a scapegoat when you have a much bigger elephant in the room where you have wars and stuff. Talk about, Ukraine and Russia. Talk about Gaza and the Zionist state of Israel. Like, how about that conversation?
Yeah.
How about that energy being involved, right? You could have those conversations. But I know, I just want to share this because a lot of times people get so distracted with these conversations about this energy being used, for Bitcoin mining. Like, Bitcoin mining is useful. It is so useful because it is securing the most decentralized custody network on the planet.
Yep.
Guys, so it's useful. It has meaning. It has purpose. It empowers an individual like you and me. And you don't have to be rich. Even poor people too who have, shitty ass, phones like this. Look at this. Look how shitty it is. I could send a transaction to some of my loved ones in the United States, in India, in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
So I went on a preacher thing, but I just got myself. But this is where when we talk, this is where we have to separate all this and recognize, this is, there's a lot of value in terms of Bitcoin mining, and now Bitcoin mining could be used for computational power because, I just want to share this. I've been in the crypto and blockchain space for quite some time. I know you have been way more longer, George. But when it comes to AI is touching everybody's lives way more than blockchain.
Yes.
Could ever be, right? Because if I'm using Facebook, for example, I just want to show, just to give you some context, if I'm using Canva, it has AI for, designing stuff. It is useful. It is solving some of the business problems I have in the marketplace. I'm using, Venice.ai, which is Eric Voorhees, it's useful. I'm using, what else? This one last one. I'm using the Ale wallet, which is part of, the Orc Data Hub. Useful work, adding value to the marketplace, bringing human verified data to the marketplace. Which is a really important problem that we're trying to solve. So, the Bitcoin mining would require energy for something valuable for humanity. So, anyway, that's my
no, absolutely spot on.
I don't know.
Yeah, what you're saying is absolutely spot on. The only thing I can say is, regarding UAE, I mean, because this Bitcoin mining equipment tends to get hot, there were also plans of having the Bitcoin mining operations underground in Abu Dhabi. I'm not sure what the update to that is. And there was some really heavy-duty investment. You're talking about roughly around $2 to $4 billion being invested into that. I'm not sure if that project has died down. And if I'm not mistaken, that was done by Cypher Capital along with Kevin O'Leary. They wanted to have Bitcoin mining operations.
with the Phoenix group.
And they wanted to do it underground. So, I'm not sure what the update to that is, if they've completely scrapped that thing out. The only thing which I did not like is what he actually said, is that we want to have 25% of the entire Bitcoin's mining hash operation, which just means that you're getting it centralized, isn't it? Now, we shouldn't be making such statements as long as we just talk about what you're trying to build. I think that is great, but
I guess it depends.
From an investor's point of view.
But look, as long as
it will be great.
I get where he's coming from, but I also believe, look, as long as there is also competition too, then I'm fine with it. So I get where I guess where he's coming from now. If you're trying to secure 25% or something, obviously, see what I like about mining is that look, you are putting actual physical resources into this, so it does come with risk, and you should be rewarded for it. So I know some of the VC maximals, they get all retarded about all this centralization, all that stuff. But like, if you want to have that 25%, man, you better fight for it. You better put a lot of investment into it. And to me, as an individual person, as a participant in the marketplace, just like you and me, look, we want to make sure that, like, hey, the Bitcoin network is secure. It should be faster. It should be easier. And most of all, it should be reliable. And because I'm thinking a much of a bigger game where, you know what, like, I don't want people to depend on the Swift. I don't want people to depend on Enbridge or whoever. You know what? If we could get a lot of people, they could do business on Bitcoin itself. You know what? To me, it's a smaller problem. So, anyways, I'm thinking about a very big picture point of view. I know I'm dreaming big, but hey, I think that's something to think about because we have a much more bigger problems out there. So that's right. So that's what I meant. But of course, there is also. But if we are concerned about the centralization part, I agree to it. That's where we, as a marketplace, comes in and what do you say? Question the power to the other miners out there. We're keeping them accountable. So there has to be a relationship. So, but if they don't, guess what happens?
Yep.
The marketplace will kick them out. So.
Now, Markose, to put my conspiracy hat with a little bit of facts, could it be possible that the CIA and the US government have invented Bitcoin? I would say there is an at least 80 to 90% chance for them to do that. And what better way to convince the people that this is the money that is against the government, because that is what would attract people, isn't it? So I wouldn't be surprised if I would say at least 90% chance for CIA to go and create Bitcoin.
Sure. You know what? That's always been a possibility even from the earliest days, guys.
Yep.
Earliest days. Now, George, you please, you can fact check me on this, right? If you remember, after Satoshi Nakamoto handed over to Gavin Andresen, right? So he was given the keys. He was ordained. I guess I don't know how they united or something like that. One of the first meetings he had was with the CIA.
Yep.
He mentioned in, I don't know whether it was Free Talk Live or BitcoinTalk.org or Reddit or something.
There used to be a website called as metzout.com. So that is where Satoshi Nakamoto used to have a lot of, that is essentially where he published his white paper as well. So,
yeah, so, but if you remember, like he did, I remember very well, like even some of my friends who were into like gold and silver, they were more like, like the gold bug guys, or silver bug guys, I guess. Now I'm not going to dive into the context and stuff, but this is all about like, the things that different factions were against the Federal Reserve, let's put it that way. Many of them really were like shocked. Whoa, hey, hold up. This guy is talking to the CIA? Oh, wait a minute. Because if you remember, many of the cryptographers, many of the mathematicians who were working on zero knowledge proofs and stuff, many of them were, they could only get jobs at the NSA. Even this guy, the CTO for Ripple, right? I mean, I forgot his name, but he was working for the NSA. He's also, the funny part, he is a radical libertarian, but working for the NSA, he was working on some really cool technologies. So, to go back to, could it be a government thing? There's a possibility, yeah, So even also Bitcoin, some of the randomizers and stuff, many of the randomizers were, have a backdoor because of this NSA, but the randomizer which was used in Bitcoin, didn't have any backdoor to the NSA. So, I don't know, it's, I remember Jamie Da Vinci, he talked about it, so which is really fascinating. So, I wouldn't be surprised, man. I wouldn't be surprised, sir.
Yeah, and Markose, I just sent you a link as to where the Bitcoin white paper was initially published. And this is essentially where Satoshi Nakamoto used to have a lot of the cypherpunks in. And there is a reason as to why people don't talk about this domain name, because someone did actually go and check, who actually owned this domain name, and it was kind of connected to someone from the US government as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because see, I think it's possible. See, again, but like when it comes, I guess we have to keep in mind just for our audience too. Like, see, most of these cryptographers and many of these guys were working on, all forms of cryptography.
Yeah.
I don't know, either you work as a math teacher in high school or something, or you work for the NSA. Barely there's any kind of like a private sector place that hires cryptographers at that time, I guess. I could be wrong. Maybe if it's like Apple or something in the earlier days. But, so I wouldn't be surprised. But then again, many of those guys too, in all these, separate mailing lists and stuff they were also aware of like a lot of the corruption in government agencies, and especially when they're dealing with politicians too. So, these guys are not like your typical degens, I guess. These guys were, they were very knowledgeable. They understand cryptography. They understand science. They're into philosophy and stuff. So, they had a lot of these, adversarial, arguments, as a way to, challenge each other's belief systems and ideas, which was really needed. I mean, these are ideas were battle tested, and, and I don't know, I guess I'm trying to defend some of these guys, but all at the same time too, it's also a cautionary tale that we should be aware that there could be also other factions getting into play. Yeah. And look, the CIA has their own VC firm called InQtel.
Yeah.
All right. Their business is investing in other companies. They invested in Facebook, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is absolutely spot on, Marcus. Now, the only thing I would like to talk about is, regarding the meme coin world. And I'm not sure if we can have 2 new meme coin players in the market the next 72 hours, it actually say. Because there is a Dogecoin whale who's invested $10 million in Play Doge and MPepe. So I'm not sure if it is like a Wish Foundation of Dogecoin and Pepe Coin. It could be a massive hit, or it could be a nothing burger, so only time will tell, I guess. So I'm not seeing quite a lot of news regarding it yet because it's still in the pre-launch stage. But other than that, there's not much going on in the cryptocurrency world. I mean, as usual, this week the volume of stable coins has been low, and decentralized exchange dominance has also gone down. Last week, Marcus, when we did have the episode on Tuesday, that day decentralized exchange dominance pumped up to well over 50%, isn't it? That has gone down, and now it is well below the 25% mark, 20% mark, hovering around the 20% mark, to be honest. But yeah, other than that, do you have any update, Marcus, from your end?
Update from my end? As far as Society X is concerned, we're still enjoying our break during the summer. It's hot out here, but we are planning to talk to some folks who want to do some workshops and stuff. So it's still in the ideation phase, I guess, and just trying to I guess work out other people's schedule. Of course, Anton from Zilica, we got Javu from KNID, Ali, he's with Miston Labs, Olga is in Hong Kong right now, so trying to do this voluntary work that does take a lot of energy out of us, but it is a burden of love. So that being said, so we're just working on that. But from the Org Foundation side, definitely the chairman of the Org Foundation, Michael A. Robinson, he'll be traveling to Southeast Asia, and hopefully I can also entice him to come to Sunnyside, Dubai, to check out some of the events over here. And I haven't, I guess at the moment we're trying to check out and see if there would be some AI events or maybe some deep-in events taking place. So I think it's just a matter of doing the quality check. But if we don't, my game plan is if I cannot find some, I'm going to start one,
Yep.
right? So if we cannot be, I will see if there's no seat at a table at some of these AI or deepen events, brother, we'll make our own table. So definitely we're doing already. One of my colleague Kema, she's in Turkey right now. I think right now we have the Istanbul Blockchain Week, which has been very popular. A lot of decent big names are going over there.
Yeah.
So Ort has a good presence, especially in the deepen plus AI narrative. So we're trying to scale that messaging out there, and talking to different L1s to have these conversations on decentralized storage and also data processing. So definitely we'll keep you guys posted here in Dubai. Things are in the works, so definitely excited. But I'm very excited that Dr. Max Lee, who is the CEO of ORT and also the associate professor at Columbia University in beautiful New York, was your guest. So that being said, would love for you to kind of give some little insights. Hey, what did you guys talk about? And any learning moments, I guess.
Yeah, firstly, thank you, Markose, for introducing him to me. I think the interview went brilliant. I mean, he was quite content with it as well. We talked, pretty much everything to do with decentralized physical infrastructure network, the importance of having decentralization, and we also discussed, the challenges of having decentralization. And look, one of the biggest challenge of decentralization is decision-making process, isn't it? Now, one thing which I really liked, he said that they're trying to build something that is, according to him, would be termed as Web 2.5, and over time they're going to transition it from 2.5 to Web 3. We were discussing about how we're still in the early stages, so it was definitely a brilliant episode. It is actually live now, so listeners can go to Blockchain DXB, and what I'll be doing is, I'll be sending out the links as well, because the podcast is live in over 19 podcasting platforms. And it is great, when you have someone from an academic background, because they give very specific information. They don't generalize it. I really enjoy the conversation. So it's definitely great information, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you mentioned, difference to people coming from the academic world. And then I know, I guess, marketers like myself, we have to be generalized because of the audience, but it does help. It is actually amazing. And also a beautiful thing is that to not only have someone who's just simply sticking in the academic world, but also operating in the industry. You know what I mean? To create products that is solving various problems in the marketplace. So having that is incredibly important, useful, and which is needed. So and especially because I guess for me, I love the world of crypto and blockchain, but I do see the importance of AI because when I compare blockchain and AI really touches everybody.
Yep.
As compared to blockchain. So and I think there's also sort of a responsibility to play that part. And, not many people need to know the workings of blockchain, but blockchain will help when it comes to verification and validation of, data sets and processes and, ensuring that trustworthiness, in the AI industry, which is needed because I don't know if Dr. Max Lee, but in one of our team calls, he really said, and I was already surprised that already there's way more AI generated data than human generated data already.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. That is, bro, that is it's not like a short model. This is huge model and no one knows about it. That's crazy. So one of the problems, I'm sure you know very well, is that we need some human verified data. That, whether it's deep fakes or whatever, that should have been a clarion call, this canary call in this deep mine of AI. So that's why, this conversation, like, to have too, AI plus blockchain equals trustworthy AI, and definitely a need for deepen plus AI. I think because to me, it is such an important narrative to, serve for, to move forward. And last thing I want to share is that, just want to, there's something I know because, obviously I'm reaching to different L1s and different companies. But, George, what I noticed? I've been checking various L1s, their websites. And, obviously I didn't get the time to check, but I remember like 3 months ago before and looking at now, if there was that Wayback Machine, if someone could just check that out, right? The Wayback Machine for, say, when I looked at ICP, Hedera, Aptos, EOS, I'm sure EOS and Near too later on. As far as I checked, they haven't updated the website yet. Before they had a different narrative, but now they talk about AI.
Yep.
So it's really interesting. So so whenever I see L1 making these changes, talking about AI, it's similar to like when we checked with, if you look at the Wayback Machine for Solana and Avalanche, the message they had before at that time and a couple of months later at that bull market, they were talking about scalability. So they are seeing something. That's what I said. Something is coming forth. So I want you guys to please check out the main websites of all these L1s, and you'll notice a change. Right now, Near is showing blockchain abstracted. Okay, whatever. I know they have put a Near AI thing. What does that mean? I don't know. But if there is going to be a whole reframing change in the Near website, to me, I'm already convinced. I don't need Near to tell me that, but if they change it, all right.
Yep.
Something is coming with the AI narrative really hard, really strong. Whether it's going to be Deepen plus AI or whatever, but
let me ask you a question, Markose, and I want you to be completely honest. What if someone, a mysterious person like Satoshi Nakamoto, creates a cryptocurrency which is entirely written by AI, probably an advanced version of ChatGPT 4 as well, entirely written, the white paper is written by AI, it is launched by AI, managed 100% by AI, would you go and trust it? I would. I'll be honest with you, and I will tell you that I 100% would. What is your thoughts on it? If, let's say, the source code is completely open source.
No, sure. Okay. If you're talking about when it will, if AI actually released, launched Bitcoin.
It could happen right now as well because, I'm pretty much someone just needs to go out and work on it. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in less than 24 hours. It should not take a lot of time, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I guess, if you're talking about, if it was before the hash wars and stuff, I would be fine with it, but, after it, I don't know, because I just don't, obviously I didn't.
Because what this AI can do is, Markose, it can read everything that is going on in the cryptocurrency world, the good, bad, the ugly side. It can take only the best pieces from it. It can also look at the stock market information. It can look at all human sentiments from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then come up with an idea. It just requires someone to go out and do that. And to be honest, it could be a teenager somewhere who just has this idea to do that. And I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if that thing does actually happen. It doesn't have to be a cryptocurrency. It could, let's say, be even a stable coin or some algorithmically backed stable coin.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It could
I get where you come. I get where you come. I guess I would just answer to when you're talking about Bitcoin, right? So I guess before the hash wall, I've been like, yeah, I would go for it. Sure, why not? I would trust it. But I guess because going through the hash walls and stuff and all those arguments, with all the history of backstabbing and stuff, and with the small blockers and the big blockers and stuff, I'm just a little apprehensive about it. But if you say an AI, a really incredible AI, creates a whole stable coin and stuff,
launches it manages, the whole burning mechanism. Absolutely everything. 0.0 human involvement. That is what
I could see. Yeah, I could. Yeah. So, okay, so in that case, yeah, I mean, like,
I'm sure
maybe I guess so. Because here's the because my belief is that my strong conviction is that I would see, like, okay, actually true AI would be actually using like privacy coins, to be honest, because like to make things happen and stuff. Because like because like if it is one of those, say, like a regulated AI or something like that, or whatever. I don't know.
See, this so-called hypothetical AI, it would know what is best. It would know if a regulated AI is best. It would know if for privacy AI is best. Maybe it comes up with something new which actually changes based on jurisdiction. I think all those things are definitely a possibility, isn't it? I mean, we're still in
sure, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, no, totally. Yeah, I mean, that would be a possibility. So, like, because I think, I think for me, it's like, of course, folks, just so you know, like, I'm a big supporter, pets, so, privacy enhancing technologies for the individual and stuff. So, like, it would make sense because, like, a really good AI would like to reduce redundancies and, like, avoid all these complications and stuff, so logically, I guess it would make sense to, work with privacy coins, and then, obviously it has to also deal with human beings as well. So as best as possible, like, to efficiently work with humans, whether through one of those similar Bitcoin improvement protocols, similar to what Amir is talking about, something like that, but have a human like do all that stuff. I could see that happen. Yeah, that would make sense. So, that of course, I think that's a great possibility. I wouldn't be surprised, man. Wouldn't be surprised.
Let's see that. It'd be great if someone we should not know who the person has actually created it as well, isn't it? Maybe Satoshi Nakamoto 2.0.
Yeah, Satoshi. Yeah, Satoshi from Bitcoin, or Nicholas von Saberhagen, who's of Monero. He has the same immaculate conception. Both, Satoshi Nakamoto and Nicholas von Saberhagen, they both had a immaculate conception.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Right?
I wouldn't be surprised if it is one of the teenagers, who actually goes and starts any of these things. But I think we have covered pretty much everything else, isn't it, Markose?
Yeah.
I think it was a good session.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah. So yeah, that's about it, folks. But before we go, hey, I mean, I talked about Society X, but we need to talk about blockchain DXB. So before we go, tell us what's happening and what any upcoming sessions taking place.
I mean, it's a regular Crypto and Coffee date Monday to Thursdays, but in my second podcast, that is the Race Space podcast, I have two interviews coming up. One is the founder from LK Running, who I think is probably one of the greatest running coaches, probably the entire world. And there is a new obstacle course race, called as VR Arabian Warriors. So if our listeners are into running, and if you're someone who's in Dubai, UAE or Middle East, you need to get into obstacle course race, man. You have to get into that. I'm just on the verge of starting another one, but I might delay that. That is focusing only on extreme drums. It might be called as, let's say, drums from the pits of hell or something of those lines. But if any of you guys have any idea and do want to be interviewed from the running space, obstacle course race or extreme metal genre, drop me an email. Definitely would love to guys have you on board. But other than that, it's a pretty chill week next weekend. But the only thing I can say is, for the next 48 to 72 hours, try to check the volume of stable coins. Because look, guys, because the CPI numbers were out and it was less, it should ideally mean that the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency should be bumping up. Unfortunately, because the US government has dumped a lot of Bitcoin, we are seeing that the prices are falling down, isn't it? So it is kind of it is an actual anomaly this time, because CPI numbers going down is definitely positive news for the cryptocurrency market. But 10,000 Bitcoins going into Coinbase Prime is one of the reasons why I do feel we are seeing the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies going down. But other than that, I think pretty chill week next week.
Yeah. Interesting times. But anyways, George, hey, thank you so much. Glad we got to do this every Thursday. This is one of my highlights of the week.
Yep.
Just to, I think for me, I think it's two ways. Like one, we get to share some knowledge, get the info out there. But also, personally for me, just connecting with you, it's sort of like a sanity check. Like, wait a minute, like, what is going on right here? Or, have these conversations, like, is Ripple, for example, is it blockchain or is it software? So, but yeah, I'm glad we have this conversation. So, anyways, fam, we gotta go. So y'all be good and y'all be safe. We'll talk to you soon.